Hello everybody, this is Amanda Cooper, and guess who's in the studio with me today? We have none other than South Carolina's State Treasurer, Mr. Curtis Loftis. Thank you so much for coming to speak to Call It Daily here today.
It's great to be here. It's a short walk.
It is a short walk. And if I'm not mistaken, it was a short walk to talk about some really great stuff and great benefits for the citizens here in South Carolina.
You're lucky today because we're not talking about spreadsheets that are 10,000 lines long or inverted yield curves. We have fun things to take about today.
Exactly. One thing that I want to jump into is I just want to thank you so much for coming here because, you know, South Carolina is such a great state. And we have so many new people that are coming here every single day, specifically here across the Midlands. And I think what you guys are offering to the residents are pretty amazing, and some people may not even know about them. Coming up in just a short period, we have 529 Day. And I'm curious about it because I'm from South Carolina, but it's been a very long time since I've lived here. And I'm curious to know what's that all about.
It's actually an IRS code. It's boring, you know, it's a name, but it's a 529 college savings program. And in South Carolina, we have the Future Scholar Program. And it's a big program. We have between $5 and $6 billion in assets, 200,000 people in the program. And it works like an IRA. You go to our website, you sign up, you can send some money every month or every quarter, and you get a tax deduction in South Carolina when you contribute, whether it's monthly, yearly, however, and that money grows. It grows tax-free, and then when you pull it out for educational expenses, that's tax-free too. So it's a super program, and that's why we have over 200,000 people in it. But 529 Day is, you know, play on the name, but it's PalmettoBaby Day. Okay. If you have a baby are you thinking about having a baby?
Well, let's say thought about having a baby.
But you're not going to have one this May 29th.
No, I'm not going to have it. But there are many people who are.
Yeah, and if you do, our partnerships with the hospitals and doctors and nurses and all that, we like to find out about that because we're going to give you a $529 baby grant. Oh. Yeah, it goes into an account that will help you set up. It's privately funded. It's not tax dollars or anything like that, and it helps people get started. And just, you know, $529 in the bank. And we invest it, that's there for 18 or 20 years, it turns into a significant amount of money. So it's a good head start. No matter who you are, no matter how poor you are, you've got some money. And you can get $5 a month or $20 a month. You can lean on your mom and dad and your cousins and neighbors and things like that and get them to give.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. So when we talk about 529 Day Future Scholar Program savings, college savings specifically, if they are gifted, their baby is born on 529, do they have to use it at a local college or university here in the state of South Carolina, or can it be anywhere once they are ready to go off to get their education?
They have tons of options. You don't even have to wait to college. You can go to a accredited private school, which is virtually all of them. In South Carolina, it pays your tuition. It doesn't pay room and board, but it does pay your tuition. So if you want your kid to go to the local private school or a Christian school, I have a nephew in Catholic school, and so in Charleston. So you can pay your tuition, or you can, traditionally is the path to college, a 2-year school. It could be trade school, tech school, community college, or a 4-year school, or, you know, graduate school. You can get your PhD in something. Any of those accredited schools in South Carolina, plus across the country, all 50 states. And there's even 500 or 600 of them outside the country.
That's pretty impressive. You know, college is probably one of the biggest expenses for families outside of like rent and car transportation, things of that nature. But when we talk about the 529 plan or 529 Day or just the Future Scholar Savings Plan, could you share with parents how beneficial it is to invest in that and how the long-term savings that they can accumulate?
Yep. Savings is always a game, right? You have to make it fun because otherwise you want it's drudgery. But nobody can just write that check now. It's just too big. Right. But if you start saving money now, what studies show is not only do you start saving money, it becomes a habit, you do it, and you get your friends to help. You know, I will not buy a kid a toy. Just not going to do it.
What?
But I'll give them a check to their fund.
Okay.
Yeah, because every kid I know's got all the toys they want, right?
All right.
They've got, how many blue sweaters can you have? But think about it, so you're sitting at home. To buy a blue sweater for a kid who's already got one, you have to get in your car, buy gas, buy a car, go to Walmart, pay sales tax. You can sit in your house, do an electronic transfer or write a check, and you get a tax deduction. So think of all that you didn't have to go through.
That's true.
Plus, it's going to make 5, 6, 7% over the period of time. Depends on the market, and and he's going to go to college.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. I bet you're in good relations with your parents and stuff. You got to say, your mom and daddy, I don't need any more blue sweaters. What I need is a check. And what you'll find is people will write you a bigger check for education than they will for a beach trip or something.
You know what, Secretary Treasurer Curtis Loftis, you have really reshaped just that small level of thinking when it comes to money and investing. I really appreciate you breaking it down to a blue sweater, because oftentimes people do spend a lot of money on gifts and things for children that they already have, and just to take that and replace it with saving that money into one of the future college, scholar programs, it really will help benefit the child in the long run.
And the kid gets a nice card, and if they're 4, they might not understand, but if they're 4, they don't care. They're getting presents anyway. But you start doing that, and the old saying, it takes a village. You start that program, and it helps out. And the person who gives the money, whether it's your friend or your grandparents or your parents, they're the ones who get the tax deduction. So it really helps out in a lot of ways. And again, savings is always a game. You got to get started, and the best day to have started is yesterday.
Yeah.
And even if it's $5 or $10, I haven't met the person, but I understand there's a young lady at Carolina who's just a student. She's not in a serious relationship. She's not married, anything, but she started an account for her child. Now she's probably, let's just pretend she gets married in 10 years and has a child. She's got a 10 or 11 year head start, where she's been sending $5 or $10 or $20 a month, whatever she can send. And it's been growing interest all that time.
Wow.
And the time and the value of that money is a lot more. One last thing. We find a lot of grandparents and others, say they get a large refund back this year. They can throw it in their bank account. And somebody, what does that mean, right? So you got an extra $500. And that's great. Everybody wants $500. But it means a whole lot more when you put it into a 4-year-old's college savings account. Because that $400 turns out to be a whole lot more in 15 or 20 years.
I love it. So just to give people a clear path on how to get started, they visit the website.
Yep, futurescholar.com. Futurescholar.com. Doesn't have an S on the end of it. And it's easy to do. It's technologically challenged as I am. I can do it. But if you can't, there's an 800 number. Everybody that you talk to speaks English very well. They're actually all, some of them are Yankees because they're in Rhode Island. But we'll forgive them,
We'll give them a pass since they're helping us with.
I go up there and see them about every 5 years just to make sure. But you wouldn't believe how technologically advanced this place is, and how these people know what they're talking about. Because I'm going to ask them a question, right? Thinking they're going to have to look it up. They just know it.
Wow.
So, and then we always say, thirdly, if you can't get done, you call us. We'll come see you because it's important.
I love it. So it's super easy. Visit the website and just get started. Click and get started, basically.
That's the truth. Now, there's another part to the 529 plan. It's called a 529A, or an ABLE plan. It has all the same features, except it has more. And it's for people who have disabilities.
Yes, I saw that here. I had it the Palmetto ABLE Savings Program.
Yep. If you're under 26, you're probably going to apply or qualify. And it's about more than just education, because they say, all right, so these people, how do we get them educated? And they made that plan. But they also said, how do we give them a better life experience? So say you've got a kid who's 15 years old, but maybe he doesn't drive. Maybe he's never going to drive. But you have to take off work or half a day just to get him to a regular doctor's appointment.
Right.
This pays for Uber.
So it's kind of like a flexi medical plan, but for people with disabilities.
And you can buy assistive technology, special telephones, special wheelchairs, all of that stuff. But what's the single most important thing is it doesn't affect your federal benefits. Now, if you talk to anybody who's got a person with disabilities in their family, they're going to say, I got to have these federal benefits.
Right.
The taxpayer and our governments have made a big decision. We're going to help folks with disabilities. Congress specifically exempted us. So the ABLE plan, up to a certain amount, you can save money and have stability and a better quality of life, and it does not affect your benefits. So
what is the rate of return that we're talking about when we put money into savings programs such as the Palmetto ABLE and the Future Scholar Program? Well,
that's determined by the market, but because we have a $6 billion fund, it's a good return. I can't say any more because of losses. I can't, but but we're not swinging for the fence.
Right.
But we're also not just in fixed income.
Okay.
And it's set up so it's a good, healthy rate of return. It's like your IRA should be. Hopefully your IRA manager's not swinging for the fence either. But we think a lot about it. Say your kid, you start him off at 1 year old. When he gets to be 15 or 16, he's getting close to college. So he can't take the volatility of market. He can't take those ups and downs.
Right.
So we start moving them toward stronger assets, fixed income assets, cash assets, because you don't want somebody who's got a big rise in their balance and then the market drops and he's got to go to college. So we've taken that into effect. We put this kind of a curve to the plan. So it works out real well. I promise you, everywhere I go, I have people say, hey, we have one of your plans, or we've had 3 of our kids go through school, and we love it.
So, well, let's talk to, what can you share with people who are a little apprehensive because of the volatile market just throughout the nation? You know, with the collapse of banks and just different things like that, they might get confused and not understand how it's not necessarily the plan is related to that, but they have a fear of
That's
investing. Right. How do you calm those nerves?
Yeah. And everybody has that fear.
Yeah.
I do this for a living, and I have that fear. We sat around this morning, and I asked one of our investors, we invest, like last night we had in the bank and invested around the country $40 billion with a B. So here you got the guy in charge talking to one of the other guys in charge saying, what do you do with your money? Because we have institutional investing. Right. Then we have to, what do we think? But part of what we have done in the 529 plans is we've anticipated all of that. But we don't want you, we know that everybody can afford some volatility. And the younger you are, the more volatility you want.
The higher the risk.
That's right. That's right. Because you can take it. Because if you're 1 year old and the market goes to zero, you don't care.
Right.
You keep buying because you're buying those cheap shares. And then it comes up, you've got more shares. It's really a good thing. It's at the tail end you have to be the most careful. And that's why we tailor the plan. So when you get close to college, you're not going to suffer that volatility.
Okay.
Now, you won't make quite as much money. You know, if you're 14, you're not going to make as much money as you're 4, but you don't have that risk.
So it's kind of like when you go to your financial advisor and they ask you what level of risk are you willing to take, you actually kind of have that built in: higher risk when you're younger,
right.
medium risk when you're a little bit older, and then zero risk, very low risk as you get older.
That's right.
I love that. I'm glad that you're able to explain that to people because they don't know.
And even then, not to be too technical, but there's flexibility. You start thinking, well, I'm saving for my kid's college. Well, he turns 18 and I need that money. Well, you might not need that money. He may have cobbled together some scholarships and use that money to start with. Or maybe he's going to a junior college, which is significantly less expensive. So you don't have to really tap into the fund in a big way. So even after school starts, you've got some flexibility. But we try to plan for that. And we feel very comfortable about it. I've put my own money in there. I have nieces and nephews that I pay for. I put money in there for them, and I feel good about it.
Well, this is a serious conversation because, like you said, college is very expensive, and it is probably one of the biggest challenges for graduates. So knowing that they have this kind of cushion of financial support does make a difference in their lives, and it starts small. And if they're born on 5/29 day, they get a boost start.
We'll give them $529. Now, I know it's been some time, but in 1976 when I started college, it was $366 a semester.
Wow.
At the University of South Carolina.
USC.
And maybe it's $100 for books and stuff. So it was like $25 a week.
Right.
And but it skyrocketed when I was there. 4 years later, it had gone up $10. You
were like, what is going on?
When college was that cheap, you didn't even think about it. Especially those of us who lived in town. I lived at home for a long time. We had a little garage apartment. I lived there some. And then we had a fraternity house. Half the time I might be on the sofa or something, but we just didn't care.
Right.
And it was literally, you take that amount of money, divide it by 52, and it's $25 or $30 a week.
Right.
So it was easy.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about this. And also, before I know you're limited on time, but there are 2 other things that I want to talk to you about. One is, I was visiting your website, and I am fascinated with technology. And I know that we are in the cusp of the 4th Industrial Revolution, and you have something about the Digital Assets Literacy Project.
Yeah.
Could you share more about that? Because I think as we progress as humankind, we are becoming more technologically advanced, and a lot of people are fearful of that. And I think this is awesome because you teach people how to engage in technology as far as finances are concerned.
Yeah, it was interesting. The General Assembly came to us and said, look, we're getting a lot of conversation about cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, and blockchain.
Yeah.
We don't know anything. Nobody knows anything. Let's go try to find out. We got to hire some youngins, right? But we've got some young people in the office who do understand all this. So we put together a financial literacy campaign. So we don't say that Bitcoin is a great idea or a bad idea or cryptocurrency or blockchain. But what we try to do is give a lot of good, reasonable. We made a good faith attempt at a reasonable and faithful financial literacy campaign, so you can go and kind of understand. And then it comes from the office, and we're not trying to sell anybody for anything. And we're going to be doing a lot of changes to that site as we get into it more. They gave us some money, it's inside baseball. We haven't spent much of it, and so because it keeps changing so fast.
Yeah.
But what we want people to know is what you can do that's safe and easy, and like blockchain. A lot of people use blockchain for a lot of different things. I don't use it because my goal is to get rid of all technology. Huh?
Right. Well, you might have to change your goal.
Yeah, which is funny for a guy who runs an office of $60 or $70 billion. And you would believe the technology in our office. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I can't do it. I don't have to do it, thank goodness, because I have good people.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin and what she call it, she really shouldn't call it Bitcoin, she call it cryptocurrencies and blockchain are here to stay, in some level or not. So it's important to know. So we have it on our website. It's a great place to go and start. And there you're getting some non-biased information up front.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome because even for myself, I love technology, but there's so much I don't know. So I've kind of dug around and I'm like, okay, I get a better understanding from somebody that's not saying you can sign up for an account here and get your first, blockchain or Bitcoin or whatever. So that makes me happy. Also, what makes me happy is your unclaimed property program.
It's the most fun I get.
Yes. So tell people who are not familiar with it, because if you're not familiar with it, you need to become familiar with this. This is pretty awesome.
We have $850 million.
Stop it.
That belongs to people in South Carolina.
Wait a minute. Say that number one time very slowly.
$850 million. Wow. Almost $1 billion. And it's not the same 850. Money comes in, money goes out. It's a pot of money. And the reason we have it is because everybody thinks they're so smart. Nobody thinks that I could ever make a mistake. And also, it's crazy how money gets lost. Sometimes you can see it because his name is mangled or zip codes are bad. And sometimes it's just crazy. Like Barack and Michelle Obama have money due to them at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House, and it's sitting there unclaimed.
No way.
Now, how did they not find it?
So when we talk about this money, it's not free money. It's money tell us.
It is free money to you.
But where does it come from? Like, what can
remember,
I have?
I'm looking at you first time here. Remember when you left college, and there was probably some good-looking young man you liked,
yeah,
and you just went tracing off again. You left your cable bill because we all did it.
That's true.
You left your cable bill. You didn't care. It was only $65. I mean, you had things to do, places to go. It's that kind of bill, but it's also when your parents pass or your grandparents pass and nobody knew that they had stock or nobody knew they had this or that and the other. It could be in a complicated car wreck. Money's flying around, the cars are being purchased, people in the hospitals and things, and money just ends up sitting. And what happens is after 1 year or 3 year or 10 years, depending on the kind of money, it comes to the treasurer of where the person's last known address was. So if you were in Texas, it would go to Texas. And there's a default to Delaware. That's where all the corporate money goes. But so if your grandma died down in Charleston, or great grandma, I don't want to be too personal, died in Charleston 20 years ago, there's a good chance her money may have come to us. Now, not every estate has money, but a lot do.
So what is the website they go to?
Just go to the State Treasurer's website. Make sure you're on the real State Treasurer site. There's another site, and they're not bad people. They just charge you to get your money. Well, it's free for us.
So if it's .org, that's how we know.
.gov.
.gov. Okay.
But go to the State Treasurer's website. It's a free search. You make as many as you want. Spell your name incorrectly, reverse them, look up your granny, your grandpa, look up your church. It's churches and charities, businesses, government agencies.
Wow.
Dawn Staley's had money before.
What?
Tim Scott's had, Lindsey Graham, Jim Clyburn. I called Jim the other day and told him.
What did he say?
Oh, he was glad to hear about it. He and I tried to do this. He hates technology worse than I do. And after a little while, I said, Jim, you get one of your people and I get one of my people. Otherwise, you're never going to get this money.
I love it.
Yeah, so everybody think I wouldn't have any money.
So, like, let's say my grandmother, I'm like, oh, my grandmother has money, but she's deceased. How does that work?
Well, there'll be a chain of custody, but sometimes if it's not a lot of money, we have some discretion, and we have some rules. We have computers we check and all this kind of stuff, but we have some rules. But it is not as hard as it used to be. There have been previous treasurers who said, well, we'll just keep that money, but we don't. We go out if there's if y'all have a company fair or something, we love to come to them. We'll send people with laptops. I go myself a lot of times because I love it. It's a lot of fun. Because people
searching for money.
Because I don't have any money, and then all of a sudden they got $400. It's more fun than, let's just say it's better than messing with a spreadsheet that's 10,000 lines long.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I just really enjoyed all the information you shared. I'm sure everybody else have. Make sure you visit treasurer.sc.gov to get all of the information that he shared here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.